A 61-year-old woman has just given birth to her own granddaughter, who was conceived by combining her daughter's egg with the sperm of her son's gay lover. Meanwhile, 76-year-old former Vice President Joe Biden is in trouble for smelling teenage girls' hair on the campaign trail. We will examine modern love with uncomfortable Joe Biden-like closeness. Then President Trump hits the socialist nail on the head, and National Poetry Month continues. I'm Michael Knowles, and this is The Michael Knowles Show. It occurred to me as I was reading that open about the 61-year-old woman who gave birth to her own granddaughter with the sperm of her son's gay lover and her daughter's egg and all. That sounded like an Andrew Klavan parody open. It sounded like some of Andrew Klavan's political satire, except it's not. It's reality because we're living in 2019. We will get to all of that in 1 second. But first, let us make some money, honey, with Ring. Ring's mission is to make neighborhoods safer. You might already know about their smart video doorbells and cameras that protect millions of people everywhere. Ring helps you stay connected to your home anywhere in the world. So if there's a package delivery or a surprise visitor, you will get an alert and be able to see, hear, and speak to them all from your phone. That's thanks to the HD video and two-way audio features on Ring devices. I love it. You know, Jay Hay, the senior producer, was able to talk to these drug-addled maniacs trying to break into his home the other night at 3 in the morning because they knocked on his door, to basically casing the joint, trying to see if anyone was home, and he picked up from his bedroom and said, "Hey, what's going on?" And they scramble away. He could have been on a beach in Boca. He could have been at the office. I love my Ring. My Ring makes me feel a lot safer. It just, in my own place, it's why I've recommended it to my friends. I have given it to my friends. This is the best housewarming present. You're going to love it. As a listener, you'll have a special offer on a Ring starter kit available right now. With a video doorbell and motion-activated floodlight cam, the starter kit has everything you need to start building a ring of security around your home. Just go to ring.com/Knowles, K-N-O-W-L-E-S. That is ring.com/Knowles, K-N-O-W-L-E-S. 61-year-old woman gives birth to her own granddaughter using the sperm of her son's gay lover and the egg of her daughter. For comment on this brave new method of giving birth, we turn now to the late 70s pop star David Bowie. Terrifies me. That modern love sure does. Indeed, it does. Why do I even know about this story? Why is somebody telling me about this? Because this is being pushed by BuzzFeed, of course. This is not the first time that a grandmother has been a surrogate for one of her children. It's uncommon. You have to be in very good health to be a 61-year-old woman who can give birth and act as a surrogate. This isn't the first time this has happened before. However, I do believe this is the first time that a grandmother has given birth to her granddaughter using the sperm of her gay son's lover and the egg of the daughter. Here is how the piece begins in BuzzFeed. Quote, Matthew Elledge and Elliot Doherty of Omaha, Nebraska needed a surrogate to carry their baby. They never expected she would turn out to be Matthew's mother. First of all, yes, they obviously did expect this because they asked her to do it and the mother offered. So they did expect that. This doesn't just happen. Like they're trying to pass this off as though, wow, what a kooky, crazy thing. You know, I guess one night we all got drunk and the next thing you know, my mother is the surrogate giving birth to my daughter that is conceived by my lover and my sister. That doesn't just happen. This was all very planned out. This isn't just some kooky, weird little natural thing that happened. This was schemed and planned out, and it's a very terrible thing. Also, it happened in Omaha, Nebraska. Who saw that one coming? I was just in New York for the past few days. I was giving a speech in Jersey. You might expect that sort of thing to happen in New York, New Jersey, San Francisco, La La Land. Omaha, Nebraska. That does worry me. We're talking about the heartland of America. This sort of thing happening there. Not a great sign for the culture. I'll spare you the 2,000-word article or whatever it is. Here are just some highlights. We're very, very lucky, Matthew said. Even so, Matthew and Elliot's road to parenthood hasn't been without obstacles, as other LGBT parents around the country, and particularly in Nebraska, can attest. But the couple wanted to share their story, in part to prove that a family like theirs can thrive anywhere, even in the conservative heartland of the U.S. The language is the issue here. We'll get to the facts of it in just a second. But the language is what I really take issue with. This is the BuzzFeed language, the popular left-wing language. They never expected this would happen. Of course they did. They planned it all out. Oh, their road to parenthood hasn't been without obstacles. Gee, you don't say. Two men trying to be parents together, that's not without obstacles? I can think of one pretty major obstacle that would make that difficult. Of course it's with obstacles. What are the obstacles? What are we talking about? By the way, what road to parenthood? If you were to skim over this article, you would think that Elliot and Matthew conceived a child together. You would get that impression. Obviously, that's absurd. That is not possible for two men to conceive a child together. But you might think that because it's the road to parenthood. But they overcame those obstacles on the road to parenthood, and now they're parents. Not so. That is not so. In reality, in a biological sense, the biological parents of this kid are Matthew's sister and Elliot, who is Matthew's boyfriend or significant other or gay marriage, or I don't know the precise circumstances. There's a mother and a father here. The problem is the mother is out of the picture, and this obviously creates significant moral dilemmas that BuzzFeed is totally ignoring, totally running over. The piece goes on. They talk about how it's very expensive to do in vitro fertilization, to bring in surrogates, to do this. You have to pay X amount of money, and Matthew says, and that is literally the cheapest it could have been, said Matthew. Each cycle of egg retrieval and transfer can cost about $12,000, which the family only had to pay once, since Cecile, the mother, got pregnant on the first try. Or the grandmother, I guess. Plus, they didn't have to pay tens of thousands of dollars for donated eggs, since Elliot's sister, Leah, donated them for free. Listen to this clinical language. When we think about the miracle of life, when we think about the miracle of life as a metaphor for, as a real metaphor for the love that moves the sun and the other stars, when we think about when kids ask, hey, mommy and daddy, where do babies come from? What's the answer? What is the cliche answer? Well, when a mommy and a daddy love each other very much, a baby is produced. And that's actually the best answer you can give. When a mommy and a daddy love each other very much, in a very literal way, in a physical way, they love each other, they make love. And then in a spiritual way, the child, this child which is body and soul, body and spirit, is the spiritual product of that love as well. Now listen to this description. Each cycle of egg retrieval and transfer costs a lot of money. But luckily, Cecile got pregnant on the first try. And they didn't have to pay for donated eggs because Elliot's sister, Leah, donated them for free. She didn't donate anything. She's the mother who is producing a child that she will have no accountability toward, no responsibility for, no more of a relationship with than she wants, than is convenient, than is comfortable for an aunt. A false relationship to pretend to be an aunt when you're really a mother. That sort of language, how dehumanizing, how yucky, I think there is a good phrase in the bioethical community that Leon Kass used very much, about the bioethicist Leon Kass, who said that there is a wisdom of repugnance. I don't care who you are. I don't care how liberal you are, how left-wing, how progressive, how forward-thinking, how LGBT, LMNOP friendly, how all of these things. It doesn't matter how much you are. When you read that, there is a certain spiritual repugnance that you have toward this. There's something that you read, you say, gosh, that's just not quite right. It's just not quite right for a grandmother to give birth to her own granddaughter, who is really the product of her daughter and her son's lover. There's just something not quite right about this. Well, what's not quite right? It's sometimes difficult to articulate, but especially for people who consider themselves very progressive, very open-minded, very forward-thinking. But we know it's true. We just know it deep down. Now, we can articulate this. The trouble is, if we oppose something like this, we are maligned as haters. They say, you hate gay people. Where'd you get that from? Where'd you get that idea from? You hate, you're anti-science. No, well, no, science is science. Science is knowledge. Science creates technology, and some of that is good and some of that's bad, and some of it's neutral, and it can be used for good or bad things. And some things are good, and some things such as this are bad. Because what is not mentioned in this article, what's not mentioned, BuzzFeed totally overlooks it, is the victim here. All of these crazy scientific experiments produced a daughter who is being intentionally deprived of her mother. Elliot's sister Leah donated the eggs for free. No, she's a mother who all of you schemed about and created a child, a daughter in particular, who will not have a mother-daughter relationship with her own mother because of your selfish desires. That is very bad. That's a very bad thing. That's the victim here. Oh, she'll be fine. Oh, the kid will be raised fine. Yeah, I guess, probably. I don't know, maybe. Maybe the kid will be raised just great. Well, a child, it would be better for a child to be raised by two good gay parents than two bad straight parents. Yeah, okay, maybe. Maybe that's true, sure. But that's not even really what we're talking about here. We're not talking about a child being adopted to good gay parents, really nice, caring, compassionate gay parents, or really bad, awful, terrible straight parents. We are talking about intentionally producing a child who will be deprived of her mother because you and your boyfriend want to have a child even though that is biologically impossible. And so you scheme, you contrive every way using modern science and modern, shallow, incorrect moral philosophy to say we're going to use, well, the sister is kind of like the brother, so we're going to use that egg, and then it's kind of like it's the daughter of, but not quite. And then we're going to, no one wants to carry, so we'll use the grandmother to carry the. There was a meme that was going around the internet. It said, future genealogists someday looking at this family tree. And it's just that the video, the gif of that comedian who's cross-eyed, looking all crazy. There are consequences to it. There are other people involved. It's not just about your desires. And I don't just mean to inveigh against this gay couple and the strange grandmother and the thoughtless sister. That's not, they're not the only problem here. This is a broader problem of designer babies, of an inversion of the natural order, which is that we have children to give our love, the love that created us, the love that created everything around us, that gives us life. We pass that love along selflessly to a child. We don't create a little designer baby because you feel that something is lacking in your own life. That is utterly selfish. That is utterly opposite of the natural order of giving life and creating children, begetting children. Also, another victim that, of course, BuzzFeed isn't going to talk about here are the ostensibly additional frozen embryos. Embryos that are either frozen or destroyed. Because when you do IVF, as Matthew L. Edge says here, it's very, very expensive. So usually what you do is you fertilize multiple eggs. So you create multiple little embryos. You create little individual human lives. And then You implant one, or you implant 3, and then one takes, and you kill the other 4, or you just freeze a bunch of them. Either way, you're creating multiple individual human lives, and then either destroying them or freezing them, suspending them in time. Those are victims too. And moreover, justice is a victim here. That is wrong to do, that is selfish to do. That is taking what should be the ultimate act of selflessness, begetting, creating a child, and inverting that and making it all about yourself. We're only going to see this continue. We're going to see gene editing technology. We're going to see much more of this in the future. That's a scary thing because we no longer possess a vocabulary to discuss difficult moral issues and difficult bioethical issues. As we begin to think of people as just flesh, as just meat and bones, and yeah, what if I put these 2 things together? Sister's egg, lover's sperm, put them together, put them in the mother's womb, whatever, who cares? It's all just flesh, right? The more we think about it that way, the more we will be unable to discuss bioethical questions. Because we're not just flesh. As Winston Churchill said, when great forces are on the move in the world, we learn that we're spirits, not animals. The destiny of man is not measured by material computations. And as material computations take over, and base and selfish desires take over, we're going to have a much more troublesome destiny of man to look at. Speaking of modern love, can't forget about Creepy Joe. Creepy Joe Biden getting hit from all sides. You know I'm defending him. I'm still defending him on the argument, but politically, it's very difficult to defend him. Here's a great attack ad that just came out from one of the pro-Trump PACs on poor old Creepy Joe.
It happened also suddenly, very unexpectedly, out of nowhere. I feel Joe Biden put his hands on my shoulders, get up very close to me from behind, lean in, smell my hair, and then plant a slow kiss on the top of my head. To have the Vice President of the United States do that to me so unexpectedly and just kind of out of nowhere, it was just shocking. It was shocking because you don't expect that kind of intimate behavior. You don't expect that kind of intimacy from someone so powerful and someone who you just have no relationship whatsoever to touch you and to feel you and to be so close to you in that way.
Oh, that is a juicy attack ad. That's a really good attack ad. So I'd like to make 2 points here. One, I don't think Joe Biden has really done anything wrong. What Joe Biden is an unctuous politician who goes out and presses the flesh, to use a particularly vivid phrase, and his whole shtick is he just seduces voters, right? I mean, that's what politicians like Joe Biden do. They go out and they have their nice shiny teeth and that smile, and they go up and they say, you know, you're great, I really care about you. And they're flirting, but it's in a not a romantic way. We have never heard a story about Joe Biden getting an apartment in D.C. while he's a senator and bringing his mistresses all around, and we've never heard that story. What we have heard is that Joe Biden is a little weird and he's too affectionate on the campaign trail, which is true. Those are different things. The second point I want to make here is that this is a great political attack. This is a terrific political attack. And if I were running against Joe Biden, I would play that video all day long. Because it doesn't really matter to voters whether he's some sexual predator or whether he's some cad or whether he's some womanizer, or if he's just kind of creepy and it just doesn't look good on camera. There's no difference in the mind of voters. And so absolutely, if I were running against Joe Biden in the Democrat primary, I would use it against him. If I were running against him in the general election, which will never happen because he's not going to get that far, I totally would use that against him. The other day, Donald Trump used this line about Joe Biden. He said, I was in Iraq, I was talking to the generals there, I said, I love you so much, I just want to kiss you. I felt just like Joe Biden. You know, he's just using, Joe Biden has become a punchline. That's why what he's done is politically indefensible. Joe Biden cannot afford to be a punchline this early on. Beto right now is fighting the same exact thing. Some candidates have avoided this. Kamala Harris is not really that much of a punchline yet. Sanders actually is not really that much of a punchline yet. Liz Warren is a punchline. That's why she's not going anywhere. Joe Biden is dangerously in this territory. Consequently, or coincidentally, Joe Biden is blaming Bernie Sanders' camp for these attacks. It is a little curious. This first woman who came out, Lucy Flores, is a member of a pro-Sanders campaign group, Our Revolution. She's been a pro-Sanders activist for years now, and she comes out and she says, oh yes, the vice president put his hands on my shoulders. I've never felt so unsafe. Oh my gosh, it was harrowing. I'm going through PTSD because the vice president put his hands on me, on my shoulders briefly when he was campaigning for me, which I asked him to do. Okay, whatever. It sure seems like a political attack to me. Now there's a second accuser. This woman from Connecticut says that then Vice President Joe Biden touched her inappropriately at a Greenwich fundraiser in 2009. I'm so torn on this because the Democrats use this against us all the time. A second accuser. All these women, that must be true. Inappropriate touching. He made her feel uncomfortable. So I really want to use this against Joe Biden, but it's just not fair. Here's what the woman says from Connecticut. She says, quote, "It wasn't sexual, but he did grab me by the head. He put his hand around my neck and pulled me in to rub noses with me. When he was pulling me in, I thought he was going to kiss me on the mouth." What, you thought he was going to kiss you on the mouth, but it wasn't sexual? No, what you're saying is objectively this wasn't sexual, but subjectively I could misinterpret it to appear to be sexual. That's what she's saying in that one sentence. And what did he do? I'm sure Joe Biden does this all the time. This is his whole thing. I'm the guy. We're really close. We're really good friends. I'm grandfatherly. I love you so much. I love you. If I were 10 years younger, wink, wink, smile, smile, vote for me. He's just an unctuous politician. By the way, apparently his wife does this too. There's this photo of his wife kissing Jeff Bezos on the mouth, not in some saucy, car or in a motel room or something. She did it at a podium at the White House because the Bidens are very affectionate because they're that kind of politician. Okay. Now, there are a couple other people who are coming out. Now, this same woman in Connecticut said, "I never filed a complaint, to be honest, because he was the vice president. I was a nobody. There's absolutely a line of decency. There's a line of respect. Crossing that line is not grandfatherly. It's not cultural. It's not affection. It's sexism or misogyny." Misogyny means the hatred of women. You're telling me that Joe Biden coming up and saying, yeah, you're great. You're terrific. That expresses a hatred of women? That it's the same thing. Joe Biden coming up to you and saying, I love you, honey, and putting his hands, giving you a little shoulder massage, and an abusive husband punching his wife's lights out, those are the same thing. That's what she's saying. Because these women are obviously engaged in a political hit job, which is totally baseless, which is totally cynical, which is totally wrong to actual victims of sexual violence. Really awful stuff. And here's how you know. Here's how you know that this woman from Connecticut is a joke, and a cynical joke at that. She ends her accusation. She says, if Biden truly supports women and gender equality, he would step aside and support one of the many talented and qualified women running. Oh, yeah? Is that right? Oh, who knew it was that easy? This is extortion like the mob does. The Me Too movement has become just as extortionist as any mafia family in New York. Say, yeah, that's a really nice campaign you got there. Sure would be a shame if somebody accused you of being a rapist. Yeah, no, you got a really nice political career there. Well, it sure would be a shame if you got Me Too'd. I tell you what, we'll make us a little deal. You drop out of the race, you endorse one of these very well-qualified female candidates over here, and maybe we forget the whole thing happened, and you're a wonderful supporter of women's equality. How's that sound, huh? And make a little deal. You scratch my back, well, you better not scratch my back no more. And I'll scratch yours, okay? That's what they're doing. They're talking just like little mobsters. And so I'm totally with Joe in dismissing this obvious attack. I'm not the only one, by the way. Whoopi Goldberg agrees with me. We'll get to that in 1 second. But first, got to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube. We have so much more coming up. We get a little bit more into Joe. We get a little bit more into Trump and AOC and the Green New Deal. We even get into National Poetry Month. But it's $10 a month, $100 for an annual membership. You get me, you get the Andrew Klavan Show, you get the Ben Shapiro Show, you get to ask questions in the mailbag, you get the Matt Walsh Show. Get your mailbag questions in. That is coming up tomorrow, I believe. Is it Wednesday already? Gosh, the time just flies when you're having fun, when you're drinking covfefe. You will also get the Leftist Tears tumbler. This is what you need. Oh, the Me Too boomerang swings back and it's knocking down the Democrats' best candidate for the general election. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Get the tumbler. We'll be right back with a lot more.